Hey there. How you doing? Hey Greg, how you doing? I don't know why it's not sticking this time. Perhaps I need to sand it a little bit. Yeah, no worries. Right, it actually let me resume it, which is quite clever. That is quite clever. Never done that before. When I powered the phone back on, went back onto YouTube, it asked me if I wanted to resume. Okay, so this is going to dry off. I'm going to give it a minute or two just to bind. Then I'm going to take this off, put a mop on, and I'm going to go back to the other pipe. Right, you guys back on? Greg, Johnny, who's on? Hello. You can see 4 people are on at the moment. Somebody say hi. Otherwise I feel unloved. That plastic, for some reason, that acrylic didn't want to bond very well. Right, so this is the pipe we stained earlier on. Hey Tim. So we're going to take off the sacrificial stem, put the original one back on, because even when you buff, it takes off the slightest thickness of the material, so you want it to be in line with the stem. So you've always got to buff with the stem on, otherwise you get a slight ridge. Right, let's hope it has bonded a bit. I put that piece of plastic over it so that I can use this as a clamp. So hopefully that's holding. I'm going to take this off as it is, and I'm not going to mess. I'm going to leave it in the jaws, and we can proceed. How's it going, Tim? How's your day been? Yeah, I'm hoping to get on tonight into the Zoom. What time does it start? Is it 9 o'clock? Or is it 8 o'clock? I always forget. Hi Charlie, how you doing? The last couple of times I joined it and I was too early. 9 o'clock, okay. 2020. As long as it lasts, eh? It's the last one of 2020, isn't it? So this pipe is definitely getting an upgrade, I think, from a 1 to a 2 star. I don't know if you're going to see this, but the grain on this is phenomenal. So I just want to show you the difference. I don't know if you guys saw it before, but that's what it looks like now. Just look at that grain. Beautiful grain. May get upgraded to a 2 star. This is a pipe that sat in my drawer. This is pipe 214. This was made a few months ago and just hadn't sold. So I decided to restain it. What a difference. I can see that this is a few stages back in the work that I've done to the button, because there's a lot of work here which I haven't done, which I do nowadays on all the pipes that I'm making now, but I haven't done to this pipe. A lot of stages which I'm going to do now to this pipe, while that ring on the new pipe is binding or bonding. I can finish up this pipe. I'm very pleased that I revisited it. Sometimes I get nervous about riveting pipes and it's not a good idea, and Mike was on earlier on and he said just leave it and focus on a new pipe, and he's right generally, but this one I knew even when I finished it that I wasn't happy with it months ago, and I fully expected to revisit the pipe, and I'm pleased that I have, and I'm pleased that I didn't revisit the other one we looked at earlier on. So I'm really sorry, I don't know, the internet keeps cutting in and out. This pipe looks amazing, it's shined up beautifully. I'll show it to you properly soon. Just going to take it over there. you, Pete, just a sec. Right, apologies. Let me just move you back. Oh, that was silly on the stand. So now you can see it. So previously I had a dark sort of area going across, which was just hiding too much of that grain. Just gorgeous grain. And I'm going to upgrade this to a 2-star once I've finished with the... Is the picture coming through clearly, or is it very pixelated? Also, having sanded it to a higher grit than usual, also it's very, very smooth. You can probably catch that a little bit in the shininess. Okay, because the second screen that I'm looking at is coming through pixelated, that's why. All right, so, hey Matty, thank you for joining. Sorry for moving you around so much. It's been a bit of a busy, hectic day today. As I mentioned earlier on, I went to a funeral before and there's a lot of family around, and so I've just ducked out into the garage to carry on working, but still. So there's the odd interruption here and there. I hope you can forgive me for that. It's either that or not do it, so. So there's a few things which I haven't done yet on this pipe. I haven't re-drilled it, which I do on all the stems, and I haven't done the V slot. I'm just going to have a look at the thickness. And this needs to be shaved as well. So there's basically, as I say, this was done. This is pipe 214. So that would have been a few months back. So I didn't do any of that work on it. So it's time to do that. So this is where I'm up to with the pipe we started earlier on. So that's the pipe. There you can see the mortar. That has bonded very nicely now. And I've just now put the ivory coloured band on. And I've just put this little bit of plastic on just so I could clamp it. But I'm not taking it off. It's stuck on the glue as well, but I'll be able to prise that off. But I'm leaving it there to sort of go off as much as possible. Tom, yeah, no problem. If you give me a shout once it's finished, and if you like what you see, then by all means you can have first dibs on it if you like. So basically I need to remove 8 Piper Simon Elwood CS 220. I don't recall the shape, I'll have to look it up. Because I've got the spinning wheel. There we go, I think we're back on. Right, I do apologise. Like I said, I'm sorry, I got no control over the connection. I keep jumping from data to Wi-Fi, but it's not making a lot of difference. It keeps going in and out. Right, so LCS rise 220. I get the greatest joy when people say, I'm smoking, I'm enjoying one of your pipes, so that's why I'm looking it up, because I want to see what you're smoking. For crying out loud, I'll tell you, you kind of supposed to be making your life easier, and it just makes it harder. LCS rise 220, go. Why does it keep going to Google? I don't want Google. I want my own flipping internet. Sign in to confirm. Alright, you know what? Get lost. That's me getting angry. Oh no. Right, battery going on this. We're having a blast today. What's everybody else been up to? Talk to me. My highlight for the day was seeing my stepfather-in-law off on his final journey. So that's how my day's been. And despite all the restrictions, he had a decent send-off. It was socially distanced. It was outdoors, obviously. Jewish funerals start off outdoors. There's like eulogies given. I think there was 4 or 5 eulogies, and then he was off to the cemetery. It's a difficult one, James, because in some ways he had a reasonably good innings, and the last couple of weeks he wasn't having a good time. So you think to yourself, well, maybe it's best that he's gone, and better than him suffering for months and months on end. So in a way, maybe it's a blessing that he got COVID and it was over and done with. I mean, he had pretty difficult. He had no good prognosis, but he may have sort of struggled on for a few months. I don't know, but you just don't know, because the hospital don't let anybody in with COVID, so you don't know whether he was being treated, or you don't really know anything. Not that I don't trust the hospitals; they've all been, generally speaking, been pretty amazing. With all the people whinging about the NHS, generally speaking, they do a pretty amazing job. For the most part, my briar is Mimo briar, which you can get from Italy. He's got his own website. .7, nearly there. Winkelpoker. Is that German for Winkelpicker? Thank you, Tom. Yeah, he's my mother-in-law's second husband, and he was just a diamond of a man. Just a beautiful person, sweetest man in the world. And as I was saying earlier on, sometimes with second marriages it's very awkward, and people don't get on and all of that, but he really, and it's obviously easier that we're all older and marrying off our own kids, but still, very sweet man. Mimo briar is very, very good. I don't know as to the smokability of it, but in terms of the brightness of the briar, the cleanliness, obviously it depends which grades you buy, but it's not cheap. It's more expensive than Greek briar and that kind of thing, but you get what you pay for. It's like everything. The only time you get a real bargain is when you buy from a new pipe carver and his prices are still cheap when they should be 3 times the amount. Yeah, Jay Allen is he's generally regarded as one of the top carvers in the world now. Ooh, we've gone down to 4.2. So we've gone a little bit thinner than usual, so that's going to be really comfortable. Hey, Angry Brit. 8 ducks to foxes. Oh my lord. Poor fella. Are they not in a cage or something? Or are they just roaming free? Did they just kill them and run off, or they killed them and took them away? And you just left with a garden full of feathers. Yep, been enjoying the holidays. I don't celebrate Christmas per se, but it was a nice break. Ah, that's a shame. Don't you have that problem all the time? And the foxes nowadays, they're quite ballsy. You see them around during the day as well sometimes. Yeah, that's because they're greedy. They don't really need them all, but they see more, they can't resist. Third attack in 6 years. Well, I guess, I mean, if you're in the countryside, certainly that sounds good. Although, nowadays, you'd think you're in the countryside. If you drive around London 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll see foxes everywhere. I'm often driving that time, well, not for the last year, but often driving back from a wedding or from a 2-3 in the morning, foxes everywhere. They're trying to find scraps of food people left outside, or a bin which is overflowing. Rural North Yorkshire, well, then you have been, I think then you have done well if you've only had 3 attacks. Oh, I see. Right. Is it just on Boxing Day that they do the hunts, or is it like a whole season? Easter and Christmas, right? Yeah, it was uneventful already here. I'm trying to gear myself up for either New Year's Eve or during the course of the holiday to smoke a very special cigar that I've got, and I keep kind of putting it off because I've only got one. It's a KSA, which is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is a cigar I got gifted a long time ago. It's a rare cigar because it's made specifically for one of the princes in Saudi Arabia. It's got his own band, and whatever you see around the world of those cigars comes from that prince's stash of Cuban cigars made for him specifically. And I did a trade with a guy on Instagram, J Cigars. You may know him. We've traded stuff more than once, and so he sent me a KSA cigar, and he was very anxious for me to try it out. He wanted to know what I thought about it, but I still haven't smoked it. But I'm kind of thinking to myself now that there's no point in hanging on to all this stuff. Just smoke it. I'm just gonna give this a quick thing on the sounder. Just give me a second. Mind the noise. You might want to turn the volume down. Yeah, there was a time when I smoked non-Cubans more than Cubans. I got really frustrated with the construction issues that I had with the Cubans. So for about a year, 18 months, I really gave up on the Cubans. And at some point I came back to them and pretty much almost exclusively smoked Cubans, but I definitely have some non-Cubans which I still consider to be, well within a possible rotation, if you like, if I had enough sort of disposable income to buy whatever I wanted. I would certainly buy some more Serie V Milanios. And some of the Padrons. And there's a whole host of cigars which are great tasting. But I think the Serie V Milano has been the most consistently enjoyable non-Cuban that I've had. I must admit, I don't like the very peppery ones. Some of the Maduro ones I enjoy, but I'm not a fan of very peppery, chili, hot cigars. Hello? Yeah, I'll be there in a sec. Right, I have to go and attend to something, so I'm going to call a break here. And hope to be back on a little bit later on and see how things go. But in a way it's good, it gives this one some more chance to dry. Alright everybody, thanks very much once again. Again, my sincere apologies for all the hassle and disturbances and the YouTube spinning wheel and all of that kind of stuff. I'm sorry about that. I guess if my workshop would be indoors it would be better, the Wi-Fi signal would be better, but I hope to come back on a little bit later on. Catch you later.